Hey folks, how you doing? Ty, Bench Clear Media. Man, I got a great conversation for you. A full interview with PJ from Collectible Kings. For those that haven't been following PJ, he started the shop about a year ago, right before prices started to collapse. But we hear really how the last year's going, and there are some incredible takeaways from this, whether as a collector, as someone who's looking at maybe starting a full-time business in the hobby, or just anyone interested in hearing thoughts of an owner that is getting it right. They're doing things right. And I'm so impressed with PJ. I think you're going to love this conversation. Enjoy. PJ, what's going on, man? How are you?
Man, just living a dream, one single at a time, I guess.
So I noticed your defensive performance in this past game was not up to par. What did Coach say to you when you walked to the bench?
Oh man, I tell you, I gotta get some extra reps and watch some film of people opening packs and make sure that the teams are resorted into five and low boxes better. But I think we'll do a better job next time.
Oh my gosh, well played. I love your new draft room here. This is
I
great. I
tell you,
feel like
yeah,
we're
yeah, this
talking
is.
post game conference.
That's right. Yeah, just having a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, man, I'm super glad to have you back on. It's been, gosh, 6 months.
I think
We
so.
talked Fanatics news last,
Yeah, oh yeah.
and now you're celebrating your year anniversary with Collectible Kings, and I've been obviously paying very close attention to what you're doing. I'm super stoked. Let's just start with a very important question. How are things going? Like a year in, tell everybody, like, are you glad you made this move? Like it could
Uh,
have.
oh yeah. I mean, I really wanted to create something that had the collector more in mind than just myself because
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, if you're getting sealed product and you're direct, I mean, really you can have a hole in the wall and people will still come to it and you can sell all your sealed product. But to me, like I wanted to create a place to where like people can hang out and it's not just about like, hey, let me just get you to buy this $500 box of cards. I want people to have an experience to hang out with their kids or their friends as a meeting spot and so forth. So that's really what the dream of this spot was because the old spot was too small to be doing that. We only had one table that people could sit at to pretty much do anything, to open
Yeah.
boxes, to go through the five and below. So, we really made a leap here and we basically almost tripled the size. We went into a business park that I took 2 units over and we just put a hole in the wall. And one full unit or side is what we call the collector's lounge.
Yeah.
So there's 5 tables in there. There's five and below boxes there as well. The other thing is that we still have a bigger footprint of the original store as well. So
Okay.
you can buy your box, go sit in the collector's lounge, even grab a drink out of the cooler if you want, and just kind of hang out in there. We put a foosball table in there. We've got a TV with your videos on our on our stream. And you know what? People like that because there's a lot of new collectors that come into the store and they're just learning.
Yeah.
So I'll walk in there and I'll talk to people and there's people just watching like when you compare like all the grading from
Yeah.
SGC to PSA and so forth. I mean, people just sit there and they're just like watching the stream.
Yeah.
So just create kind of like the cheers
Hmm.
of sport cards where like you come in, be comfortable. You could be a big time collector, you could be somebody that just walked into a store, and I mean we kind of just have a place for everybody, and that was the concept. So we rented the place in December and I wanted to open February the 5th, and I had to redo everything, have a contractor, put brand new flooring down,
Yeah.
try to get showcases in where you know how that goes with the trying to get them in and from all the
Yeah.
shortages
Supply
and
chain.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we did it. We pulled it off, and the shop is better than I thought it would be. And the funny thing is I wasn't realizing how many new people would be here.
Hmm.
And I can pinpoint that we probably had a 30% increase of people that have never been to the shop before.
Wow.
uh, and it's crazy. It's insane. I just it's definitely been very wonderful surprise on how well it's been doing, and I'm just excited about the future for sure.
So if someone would have told you, hey, from the day you open, you're going to see a 50% decline in sports card prices across the board, do you still want to open? What would you have said?
I know, I know, and yeah, you can't sell those LeBron base cards for $30 anymore from last year's product, but somebody's still buying them for $3 a piece
Yeah.
out of the Five and Below boxes. We still sell a lot of them there, but to be honest, I kind of like where the hobby is right now.
Mm,
I think people say, "Oh, well, the hobby's dying." Some people are saying that and everything, but what I'm saying is that we had extreme growth from pretty much anybody, even the people that didn't even care about collecting cards,
yeah.
that just wanted to try to make a quick buck. I think we lost a lot of those folks, but if you're looking at an overall growth percentage of people that are staying in the hobby, I mean, it's definitely much higher than how for the last 20 years, at least, I would say. So
Mm,
I like the price points where singles are now. I actually like the price points of boxes coming down. Um, I think it's at a place to where everybody that the barrier of entry, even for kids, really it has been removed. So a kid
mm,
can come in and he can buy a LaMelo base mosaic card for $7 now. Where if it was Jaw mosaic base from 2020, those things were selling for probably 30, 40, $50
yeah.
during the pandemic. A kid can't do that. So I really like where it's at, and I think it's keeping people more in the game. I think people are sticking around longer.
Yeah, no, that's a really good perspective, and you're seeing it firsthand, obviously, with the kids and the adults kind of coming in. And have you have you seen an increase in people coming in and saying, "Hey, I just want to offload my collection. Like I'm getting like a little frustrated," and it gives you an opportunity to buy up. Is that mindset kind of coming into your shop, or have you felt like it's just been pretty consistently positive
We
still?
have we have a few
Okay.
people that have done that, but it's mostly the people that I saw last year coming into the shop that I knew weren't really collectors, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Where they're just more like trying to buy product and flipping it and so forth like that. And then they got bored and they started ripping a bunch of it. Now they just got all this stuff
Yeah.
that they don't know what to do with. I think most of the audience that we have, traditional collectors that come in, or parents or dads coming in and say, "Hey, I haven't done this in 20 or 25 years. Want to see if I can get my son involved and so forth." And then they see all the stuff. Once you bring somebody in if you can get them to rip something, regardless if you think it's prudent or not prudent to rip a product, I think if you really want to be in this hobby and love this hobby, you got to rip something. I mean,
Mm,
that's what the beauty part of it is. But I think once you get them to do it, it's kind of like they're in again,
yeah.
if that makes any sense. So,
It's the drug, of
now you
course,
can do
makes
that.
sense. That
Right
drug, you get it
now,
in
like
there.
you can come in the shop and buy a hoops blaster for $25 off our shelf and rip it, where that was unheard of in 2020. You had to pay
Yeah.
$75 for a hoops blaster if you wanted to even try to rip something. So,
Yeah.
I kind of like where it's at now, because the other thing that I've noticed is Walmart is actually outpricing some of our product, because they're thinking that they can cut out the reseller now too by saying, okay, well, we're going to charge $40 for this blaster or something like that. Well,
Yeah.
I can maintain the MSRP requirement by Panini and Tops on some of this retail stuff, that I'll actually be $5 cheaper on a blaster than Walmart. So to me, that's what's bringing new collectors even into are like, well, I mean, heck, this guy is cheaper on some of his stuff than Walmart or Target, which is pretty insane. But it all comes down to, as long as I can get this margin to pay the bills and to make a profit, I really don't look at the secondary market
Mm,
on eBay like, oh, well, this box is selling for $900 on eBay, so I
yeah.
should be $875. I just don't think that way, and I think that's what's going to maintain the longevity of Collectible Kings, because it's more about successful shops. If you look at any successful shop that I follow, it's more about the relationship. The relationship is more valuable than, hey, I got this guy to buy a $900 box of cards, and then he won't be back again because he
Yeah.
only gets $200 worth of it. But if I take that same box and sell it to him for 550 or 600, where he goes and looks all the way around and sees that it's sold for 900, and he gets $300 or $400 of cards, or maybe he gets a big hit, then they're in the game longer, and that's the whole concept.
Sam Walton's got nothing on Collectible Kings. That's what I just heard from that statement.
Yeah.
So
No.
what would be the couple metrics that have surprised you both on the positive side and on the negative side when you look at, the past 12 months and you're like, holy crap, this is really cool. And oh my gosh, I can't believe this is not as high as I thought it would be. Any metrics stand out to you? Because I know
Yeah.
you're a numbers guy. You look at this stuff.
Yeah. Actually, what I would say right now, if you look at everything that's put out between sports and everything, Pokemon in our store is probably, as far as sealed product goes, is probably the number two seller in our store. And
Wow.
it's just the Pokemon collector is, they basically got to make every set, regardless if they think it's a good product or there's a bunch of hits in this product or there's not a bunch of hits in this product. They're more of like, I got to make the set, so I need to get every single card. So they're coming in buying the sealed products, buying the singles. I mean, my showcase, the biggest showcase in the store is actually dedicated to Pokemon. So that's probably more
Wow.
surprising to me because they're looking at the card and saying, I need that one, and that one. They're not saying, well, can I get, is that PSA? What do you think that'll be a PSA 10? They're not even, no, I'm not selling anything that's not in great condition, obviously, but it's
Yeah.
just a whole different mindset. It's like, it's more for the love of the card or for, making a set, which is almost the mindset of the hobby was in the early 90s or the late 80s. Like if I wanted a Bo Jackson rookie card, I wasn't looking at it with my little monocle, seeing if,
Right.
if it's in perfect shape. I just wanted that card.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the most interesting part. I think I guess, obviously the negative, if there is a negative, there's really not much of a negative. I think basketball is really down this year.
Mm,
Basketball is way down. Like for the new rookie class, the sealed product and so forth,
yeah.
even the singles, there's just not much. Even if some of them are playing well and so forth, there's just not much interest. People still only want, it seems like they forget about this year and they want Ja Morant, LaMelo Ball, and Anthony Edwards. Not too much Cade Cunningham or,
Yeah.
any of those guys. So basketball definitely it still sells, but it's even on the sealed product, it's still a slower mover right
Yeah.
now.
No, that's good. The Pokemon stuff still, we've had conversations about this offline. It just blows me away with what you're learning with Pokemon because a collector space I don't know that well. And when you hear the way they buy and sell and collect, it really does remind me of the late 80s and 90s. I think it's a great parallel. It's just a
Yeah,
very
and
dedicated
I
base.
think you've got to immerse yourself as a hobby shop in it because I know a lot of hobby
Yeah.
shops, they'll try to chase down the hot product of whatever set that's coming out and they'll try to throw it on the shelf and sell it. And then maybe they don't order too much of the next set or anything like that. But if you stay consistent and actually build out a showcase and actually put the good cards in there and so forth, you're going to start building that consistent Pokemon following that will
Yeah.
just keep coming in. And whatever's on the shelf, booster pack wise or whatever, they don't even care what set it is. They'll buy a few singles and, oh, you don't have Brilliant Stars in? Oh, well, just give me 3 of those packs.
Mm,
So it's kind of like, if you, I think more hobby shops need to pay more attention to that Pokemon collector
yeah.
than just throwing a few booster boxes on the shelf and trying to catch the hot set when it comes up or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you already said, and it's your number two seller. I mean, that's enough in itself to cause someone to focus. Your basketball comment's interesting because I feel like one thing I've noticed this year with basketball cards is stats and performances aren't affecting prices of cards. They're
Mm-mm.
just not like even Ja Morant, for instance, right? He puts up 52 the other night on the Spurs, I think, and he has that crazy dunk and he hits that awesome shot. And like last year or the year before, like prices would have been like 25% higher on almost every card he has.
Right.
But I was
Right.
watching the numbers like before and after, and like it was a blip. And
Yeah.
maybe it's the supply that has a lot to do with it. There's a ton of it out there,
Sure.
but it's a little frustrating, I think, for people because you're used to that last 2 years of performances actually impacting cards, and that's historically never the way it's been with cards anyway,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Well, what's funny is that there are a lot of collectors now that say, I'm going to stick to parallels or numbered cards.
Yeah,
And that's what they come in and say. And some are actually pretty good at staying that way. But they tell me that, and then they go buy 3 base LaMelo Donruss cards from me. So, I mean, I guess it sounds good, and then when they're there and they're like, hell, they're only $7 or whatever they are,
Yeah.
why not? I think it's just up to what anybody really wants to do. I think the thing of using cards as just a pure investment model is definitely a lot more difficult. Not saying that you can't do it, but it requires a lot more work than what it did 2 years ago. And I think that people are probably starting to realize that it's not something like you can go on, I don't know, ComC or Cardstock or whatever it is after Jamal Murray puts up 40 points and buys
Yeah.
Domino's card and the second set and by halftime and then sell it at the end of the game for another $10. I mean, that's what it was during the
Yeah.
bubble, but now it's definitely, you got to kind of know your stuff and then focus in maybe on a couple players and just say, you know what, I'm going to buy this guy right now. And maybe probably in 6 months, it might go up 20-30% maybe. If you have that mindset, then that's probably a good way to go. But
Mm.
the day trading of cards is very rare for sure.
Gone. Yeah, I think that whole era is gone, and we'll talk about it years from now. Remember that time we could day trade cards? Um,
The Bull Ball craze.
yes,
Get
the
those
Bobo.
bubbles, threw them all up on eBay, sold the whole lot for almost $400.
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry
still rub
whoever
that in my
bought that. It
face.
might be worth $10 now, but thank you for that eBay purchase. Now that is a good eBay. That is a good eBay mover right there too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If you were to go back February 2021, what are a thing or two that you would have done differently when you started up the shop? Now knowing what you know.
I would probably have put more preparation into opening the shop.
Oh, okay.
I really kind of underestimated the work and the effort that it would have taken to do it, especially if you're trying to have that 5 and below type of market for like
Yeah.
boxes and cards. Like I didn't have that much of an inventory for that. And then also at the beginning, I didn't even sort them by team. I just sorted it by sport. Well, then you kind of sit there and you look at it. Well, nobody's going to look through a whole 2 or 3 shoe boxes of random cards and so forth. So, now we got it down by sport and by team. And that's a whole nother beast in itself because we've got to go through the shop 3 days a week. And I have my staff go through each one of those boxes. Cause when somebody's looking at the Patriots, they're just going to dump them all back into the Jets. So, if you're not keeping an eye on that, you're going to have to do that. But
Yeah.
that's the way the cards sell. Like if they're not, I don't want to say people are lazy or anything, but like they got to be laser focused. So you got to make it the easiest way to find a card to make a sale. And I think that's kind of what I underestimated initially when I thought, hey, I got my showcases in here. I'll put all the stuff in the shelves. And I really thought that I could have one person there the whole day, and that's all we would need to run the shop.
Mm.
And from day one, we needed 2 people pretty much every day. And now in
Wow.
the new shop, we need 3 people in the shop every day, even on a Tuesday, Wednesday. So those are the things. Maybe the scalability is what I wasn't expecting.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. That's stuff that you don't think about until you're there and you start doing it. Before
Right.
long, you're going to be a Fortune 10,000 employer at this pace, man. You're tripling every
I know.
year.
You'll be like, what happened? Collectible Kings has a 10% share in Fanatics now. I mean, make sure I get my allocations, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, you do what you got to do. Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about grading. I know you've put some emphasis on grading with PSA and also now grading with SGC.
Mm-hmm.
What have you kind of noticed from the marketplace coming through your shop of people interest in now grading with SGC?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there?
Uh, uh, Large interest in SGC.
Okay.
I was just really before we jumped on board with SGC, just a higher end grader for PSA. I never did bulk submissions for any company.
Okay.
If somebody had a really high end card, and I only submitted at the 100 or higher for PSA for people. So, you know, getting that opportunity to work with SGC to get more opportunity for our customers to submit, and where we're at, I would say I don't want to say there's not a lot of experienced collectors or anything, but we're kind of building that base around here.
Yeah.
So I would probably say 80% of our client base has never graded a card.
Wow.
So
That's
being
cool.
able to offer that service at virtually the same price as if they would do it themselves with SGC, with
Yeah.
us knowing the entire process and then not have to pay the shipping fees and everything, it's been huge for us. So I mean, every Monday we've been, sending out cards to SGC. And I think the difference to me, I'm a big relationships person. So nothing against PSA. They're definitely a big company and everything. And I understand it. They probably get so many requests from other dealers and shop owners and so forth.
Yep.
But I could not for the life of me for an entire year get anybody at PSA to return an email, a phone call, or anything to see if they want to work with us.
Hmm.
And to me, it's like I am going to, if somebody shows me the attention and want to partner with me, I'm going to try to be the best partner that I can, either if it's with my directs with Tops or Panini and so forth.
Yep.
Obviously, whenever we do something, I try to represent them in the most positive light. The same thing with SGC, talking to them. They really liked kind of what our mantra is and, what we're trying to put forward. And I told them, like, look, I will push you guys 100%, give them the opportunity. And I think it's been great so far. And I think they've been, what I like about them is they're very responsive. I think they are very accountable in a hobby that either has very minimal accountability or transparency. I think even when they make mistakes, I think they graded a Pokemon card or something maybe a few weeks ago, and the
Yep.
owner of SGC went on there and did a video, totally owned up to it. I think they're innovative. I think in the long haul, PSA is definitely the behemoth, but what I like about them is they're not trying to say, we're going to be better in PSA. I think they found their niche
Hmm.
and I think they're running with it. And I think that's why they're being so successful. I think they're probably number two or going to be number two as far as grading companies are concerned. And I think they're carving out themselves a good piece of the market as for vintage. And what I'm seeing is if you have cards anywhere from 25 to 150 bucks, I think they're perfect for that. Now,
Yeah.
obviously they want cards higher than that, but this is generally what I'm seeing,
Yep.
what they're perfect for. And they're just a great company. I can't say enough good things in my short time working with them about what they're doing, and we're definitely getting the customers for them, sure, for sure.
Wow. Well, this was not meant to be a sales pitch for SGC, but that was they might want
I know.
to
If you
cut
want
that
to throw
out and
me
use
another
it.
discount, I'll be okay.
Jeez.
No,
Oh my
no, but I
gosh.
think
Take
it's
off your
good.
SGC underwear. What's up?
I know, but what I think it's good is like, really as a hobby shop owner, you got to be in the business of, showing or teaching people. And I think we don't have too many people teaching or explaining how things work in a hobby.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell them, I'm like, look, this SGC slab here, you're going to pay a lot less to get it slab. Maybe the value is not what PSA is, but based on your cost versus the cost with PSA and how long you have to wait. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have that card back either in your own collection, or if you're going to sell it, you could make an extra $150 a lot quicker than
Yeah.
waiting for whatever PSA is going to do. And I think that's what shops need to do. And we're backing it up by putting more SGC slabs in our cases, and they're selling
Mm.
them. And I
Yeah.
think that's the main test is like, you don't want to go with a company, grading company, get all these slabs and everybody just looks at them. Like the true test is, are their slabs moving? And their slabs are moving in our store. And I
Mm.
believe you proved that on one of your other videos on eBay that they're moving on eBay too.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. No, that's good. I love your whole take on just the job of a hobby shop is to educate. Like we kind of push that aside a lot and act as if the hobby is educated. And you got 80% of people coming in that never graded a card. But yet we talk about like the grading phenomena that's happened. Like it doesn't add up. Like there's a lot of education that needs to be done. So that's pretty
Yeah.
sweet, man. I'm digging
Yeah.
that.
I think it's good. And, I kind of like everybody's scared or in the hobby, the fanatics, like the whole fanatics way that they're gonna, destroy hobby shops or whatever. And I think what we're now seeing over the last few months, that they're actually going to align themselves with hobby shops that want to take the time to be that grassroots grower
Yeah.
of the hobby. And like when I read Josh Luber's white paper, then I'm very interested. I watched some videos on the Tops Industry Conference. I talked to some people behind the scenes at Tops and so forth.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing is I'm seeing exactly how I want to run my business. based on what they're promoting. So to me, like, I think it's going to be a good thing for me. And who knows, it might be mean more allocations for people that are educating and trying to grow the hobby more than just trying to get like, oh, this guy's a VIP buyer, he'll buy the whole case. I don't sell cases to people. I want to grow. Like, look, if you, I want to make sure if I get 100 boxes and I can get 70 some people to buy those boxes, that's more of a win to me than selling those 100 boxes to 10 people.
Hmm.
I don't go for easy. I'm going for, I want to grow because I'm all about the residual business for my business. So if I'm selling to
Yeah.
70 some people, probably 60 of them are going to come back to the shop and buy something else too.
Yeah.
So we got to stop thinking about what's easy for me to move product and start thinking about how we can grow our businesses as a hobby shop and grow the hobby in general. Because if you don't have
Hmm.
people that collect, the whole hobby basically implodes because there's no trading or buying cards either. So we need to get more people in the hobby, regardless if they're only spending $20 a month or 2,000 a month.
PJ is going today.
I'm hot. You see
You are
this
hot.
banner behind me? I'm like the #1 draft pick right now.
No kidding. I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it. So that's a perfect spot to transition into your commitment to social media. And you obviously have a lot of things going for you. Specifically, you have a great ring to your name, Collectible Kings. You have a great logo. Um, Talk to me a little bit about what your approach has been to using social media to help drive your business. And we have a separate video that we did on Breaker Culture around whatnot, so we don't necessarily have to dive into that. But what's like what has been your mindset there? Because I'm digging the things you're doing on Twitter, and I think you're investing in Facebook and IG and everything else.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it.
I think it's kind of like, kind of lifting the curtain up for people. Like, I think people are very interested to see what goes on into a hobby shop. And to me, it's like if whatever I can share and just try to connect with people, that's what I try to do. Now, obviously, I'm not a card collector too. I don't have 40,000 followers or anything like that. But I mean, we've got 5 or 6,000 followers on Instagram, which I think is pretty good for a year.
Mhm.
YouTube, we still got a lot of work to do there, but I'm starting to get people that come to visit the shop that said they watched your YouTube video, and I was like, you're one of those 15 viewers. You know what I mean? But Twitter is starting to pick up. Facebook is pretty big for us too.
Yeah,
So you really just, I think if you try to perfect your social media post or video, you're just not going to post anything because there's always going to be somebody that does it better. I mean, you do it really well. Card Collector 2 does it really well. If I compared myself to what I post to what you guys do, I'd never post a video or anything. So to me, it's kind of the Gary V mantra. It's kind of like if you got a phone and you can take a
yeah,
picture, post the videos, and the more that you do it consistently, the better that you'll get at it. And you basically let people see your personality, and people buy people. I mean, they buy the cards, but people
yeah,
like to connect with people. And, my mantra is kind of being kind of, I don't want to say goofy or anything, but I am the king. And, I kind of just make it fun. Like to me, the
yeah,
hobby when I was growing up was fun, exciting, community. And that's kind of what I kind of want to create Collectible Kings to be. Is just it's fun. And if you
yeah,
can make a few bucks doing it, that's great. If not, and you just want to collect cards, that or Pokemon or Funko Pops, then we have that too. So I mean,
yeah.
that's kind of the whole thing with social media is just be yourself and just be consistent about what you're posting, and don't try to copy somebody else because you think it's cool.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. And I think in this world, at least the hobby world that we live in with a lot of shysters, a lot of fakes, fake cards, authenticity issues, we forget like on a personal level how important that is too. Like
Oh
people,
yeah,
I think you're exactly right. Even more so now than ever, people love authenticity. Mike and I joke all the time, like some of our best videos are the ones where we just get on and talk
oh
and
yeah,
like be super real. And like it's not even produced. It's just a camera. And people love
oh yeah,
authenticity. Yeah.
yeah,
So you
yeah. I'm
nailed it.
totally into that.
What platforms do you feel like you're getting the most traction in?
I mean, Instagram's always our biggest one.
Okay.
So we probably get the most interaction on there. I think it goes by demographic too, age group. probably my age group, early 40s to older. They like to send us messengers on we
Early
like
40s. Give me a break.
I might look older, but that's more Facebook. We get a lot more DMs on Facebook from there. Twitter's kind of all over the place. So
Yeah.
obviously some posts we get a lot of engagement on. Other posts you really don't. But hey, you gotta put it out there. I think there's more kind of on Twitter. It's more of the hobbyist, I guess you would say, more of the
Yeah.
very particular type of collectors, and they have their little groups and their niches, and they like to complain about print runs and this, which
Everything.
is fine.
Basically everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of that niche, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
Instagram is more of just the wild west of high-end collectors, consistent collectors, somebody that just said, who's John Moran? I mean, it's kind of a catch-all
Yeah.
of people just kind of interested in the hobby. Facebook is more, traditional type of collectors too, just kind of your run-of-the-mill type of dudes and dudettes and that type of thing. So you kind of see the cross different. And then TikTok. TikTok is interesting, putting some videos up on there, and
Yeah.
some videos I'll get like 4,000 views, 3,000 views, other I'll get 15 views. So you just never know. It's kind of a mixed bag with
Yeah.
TikTok, but you got to have fun with it.
Yeah. Heck yeah. We've talked about this, this total shift in topic, on just calls driving. You don't invest in traveling to like the national and setting up a booth and regional shows. And there's a reason for that. Like, why is it when you talk about building community, you don't necessarily care about building the broader community from that sense. You
No,
don't see
like
the payoff. It sounds
so
like.
really the only show that I do, and I don't do it that often, is the Chantilly show.
Yeah.
So the Chantilly show is probably one of the largest shows in Virginia, and it's only about an hour away from me. So we're actually setting up there in April, and you'll get like the sports card investor. He'll go visit that, and Card Collector 2 will be there. So that's kind of a bigger show. And really, the reason why I like doing that show is because it's within an hour drive of my store. So guess what my main priority of that show is? It's like, hey, look at the singles we got. Look at the pricing we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Come down. We're only an hour away. If that show was any further, I probably wouldn't do it. Um, and then we do our own show, the Show of Kings, and that's
Okay.
kind of more of a. It's not a consistent thing.
Okay.
So we had our first one in November, and it was a huge success. I mean, crazy. I mean, we had a small venue and a very nice little Hampton Inn, and I mean, we packed that house, and it was packed until it ended.
Wow.
And we had a good group of dealers there. Everybody had great prices on their stuff. We had a DJ. We had a trade room, and it was just very cool. And we teamed up with a local organization, like because I wanted all the table fees and everything and the raffles, like I wanted it to go to like an organization. So we had like a local softball team that one of the dads of the coaches is a customer of mine, and we ended up raising $3,800. I think
Dang, that's awesome.
3,800, somewhere around there. And to me, that's perfect because they benefited from it. The card community benefited from it because they got a card show locally and they got great deals and stuff. And the byproduct of it is, of course, I put it on. Now I'm not looking for anything in return, but you got to know if you do enough good things for other people, it pays in spades. So
Yeah.
obviously, it kind of creates a name for yourself. And I keep getting people asking me all the time, "Hey, when's the next Show of Kings? I want to set up for it and all that kind of stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, but once I get the shop, we just moved here this month, and then after the Chantilly, so we'll probably do it again in May." So really,
Okay.
outside of that, I will be going to the national. We'll be seeing you there, but
Yep.
I'm just going there to have fun for the experience. Like I
Yeah.
just want to see what it is. I've never been to one before, so kind of yuck it up a little bit, bring my boys up there and the wives, and just have a good time.
Yeah. You want to be a collector. You want to be a collector at the show.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. A little backstory there. You got me excited. You're like, we got a VRBO. And I text you and I'm like, sweet, man, I'm rooming up with you. Looking forward to that. And he comes back and says, no, I got my kids and my wife and multiple families coming. You're out, Ty. You are
I
out.
know, I know. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work. Maybe next year. I'll tell you what we should do. What we should do is next year, maybe we can either go to the Tops Industry Summit together or something like that. So
Yeah.
meet you up there. We'll get a nice what is it, VRBO or Airbnb or something like that, and yuck it up for a few days.
We can go sit through some inclusion presentations. That'd be great.
There you
Sign
go.
me up. All right. So two last questions for you. What are you watching closest the next few months and kind of throughout the rest of the year in terms of like the hobby health? What are you keeping an eye on?
Really what I'm watching right now is obviously I think most hobby shops are watching is I think it's getting more positive as more news comes out. You know, obviously the Fanatics thing is definitely anytime that there's any change, regardless if it's going to be positive or negative, people don't like change in general. So what I'm trying to watch is that I'm trying to lay out my ducks in a row as far as like if everything goes negative, can I pivot to something else? Like so I'm trying to come up with a game plan as far as keeping Collectible Kings going if the worst happens. And then I also have a game plan if, hey, what if it stays the same or gets better?
Yeah.
So right now, that's kind of what I'm building out at the moment is kind of two different tracks of how I'm going to take care of that. The other thing that I'm looking at right now is now that I have a larger shop is creating other opportunities for other collectors. So, we expanded our Funko selection by probably triple. And then we just are going to start bringing Lego in. I mean, people collect Lego and use that as
I saw
well. And
that.
it
That's
kind of
amazing.
fits our motif of what we're trying to do with just the collector, even families. So we brought Lego in now. So just diversifying, really.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm keeping my eye on right now.
I dig it. No, I saw the Lego stuff on Twitter. That's just an awesome idea. I'm so glad you're able to like execute on that quickly. That's great.
Yeah. It's like everything I like to do or want to get back into. I'm like, I need to get a contract with them. I need to do this.
And that's how you should think about things, right? As you
Yeah.
run your own business, like focus on the things that you love and like find a way to monetize that. That's how you do really well. That's how people do really well with things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last question for you. Josh Luber pops onto this call. What do you tell him? What advice do you give him?
What I would love is coming from a background with the other businesses that I own. I think our industry lacks an organization to make hobby shops better at what they do. There's not an association really per se that I'm aware of. There's not a lot of training. There's not a lot of education. It's kind of we've got to look for the checklist or the marketing materials. Not saying that none of the directs help or do anything with that. I think if you ask for it, I have some great connects at Panini and Tops that definitely support it. But I think there's a better way overall that, there are some good shops out there that I definitely share information with. But what I found is there's a lot of hobby shops that come from a world of scarcity. So I come from a world of abundance. Like there's a shop that's probably 20 minutes away that I have a great relationship with. And to me, he's got his thing going on. I got my thing going on. But there's definitely a lot of shops in the hobby that they hate on other shops. And I'm like, for hobby shops to survive and grow, we got to have more of continuity about, hey, this was a great idea in this shop, or this really works in mine. And I think Fanatics can probably go out to the hobby world, you could probably find the top 10 or 20 shops on what works for them. And I think there just needs to be more communication like that and just run out like a blueprint or a footprint and say, this is the kind of things that we would like to see done in our partner shops. So if you want to partner with Fanatics or whoever it is, Panini, we would like to see X, Y, and Z happen. And we want to know these type of matrices or analytics. Like I bet you, like I have a system that I manage my customers and so forth. So I've got their text numbers. I've got tags on certain people, what kind of player they like, what kind of, like if they like baseball, Pokemon, or whatever. And I guarantee you there's not a lot of shops that know, unless by memory, what their customers actually buy and when they buy. And I guarantee you that's what Fanatics is looking for. But shops don't know this. There's a lot of shops that don't know this if they haven't been in another business before that required that. So to me, I'm looking for more of a partnership with, whoever that it is, to help my business grow, that I can reach more people and get more people into being collectors. I mean, that's really what the goal is for me.
Well, Josh Luber's in tears right now. He's just so emotionally invested in you. I think you convinced him.
Give me a call. Yeah, that's right.
Amazing. Well, man, you are a breath of fresh air. Seriously, everything you've done with Collectible Kings has been, I'm just so glad I could, even on the back end, just participate in the journey. Huge fan of you guys. Where can folks find you? All the links will be in the show notes, but just tell people where they can find you, and then we'll wrap this up.
I think probably the best way is on Instagram. It's just at Kollectible Kings. So you could just go on there, search us. We're up there. We're on Facebook as well. So just Kollectible Kings on Instagram. Just search us out. And if you DM us, I will get back to you. It just might take a little bit longer. But, to close it, I think what's surreal to me is really me getting back into this hobby. I had a shop with my older brother from 88, 89 to about 92, 93. And the only reason why I closed because he went to college and I was too young to run it myself. And we had it in a business park that my dad owned. And really what got me back, I mean, occasionally I'd go buy a blaster here and there throughout the years. But once my sons got to the age where they were really interested in collecting, the funny thing is I was like, I'm a big audible podcast listener too. And the first podcast that I found, I was like, I wonder if there's any sports cards podcasts. Yours came up. And the funny thing now that I think back is you were the first one that I actually listened to. And then now coming from 2018 to today, where I'm actually on, we're kind of friends and podcasts and so forth. I'm friends with a UFC fighter now. And then now I've got Card Collector 2 giving me shout outs. I mean, it's kind of crazy that all that has happened in a span of just a few years. And that's kind of the surreal moment. And then now that I have the shop too. So, I mean, it's just pretty awesome, really. I don't know what else to say.
It is absolutely awesome. You make it sound easy, but I know how much stinking work you've put into it. It is not easy. It is extremely hard. It takes a lot of just grit. So props to you, man. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Have a great week.